Good morning and welcome everyone here in the class and of course at home. We got a couple of things that I really want to emphasize in this class today. One of them is about locking the knees or not locking the knees, and we'll get to that in a moment. But the first place we're going to start is focusing on diaphragmatic breathing. We're going to do this lying down, but basically the breath is far more important than most people outside of yoga understand. When we diaphragmatic breathe, we have a greater exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide. And that lets your autonomic nervous system know kind of what's going on. There are polarities within all of us. We all have yin yang, we all have positive, negative, we all have fear, and lots of times where we're just, tip top magoo and everything's cool. So those are the polarities. If we want to balance and equal the polarities, diaphragmatic breathing does that as well. Anyone who studies martial arts, anyone who sings for a living or public speaks for a living, they're using their diaphragm to get the voice and to have the energy. So I'm not saying we should be diaphragmatic breathing all day long, but in our practice, and we're going to experiment with this so you'll feel what it is like. Okay, so let's get started. On the floor, on your back. And if you're not comfortable with your head on the floor, those cushions aren't out, but if you have a sweater, you can just put under your head. So come on to your backs. And where we're going to start is lifting your collarbones, not your collarbones, but your scapulas. So the bones in the back, you're going to lift them up and tuck them under your heart, your shoulder blades, scapulas. And your arms are out at the side. Your palms can be up or down, doesn't matter. But what I want you to do is just start by noticing your belly rising. So this would be pure belly breathing. These are your lower abdominal muscles. And so basically when we're sleeping at nighttime, we're belly breathing. Like a baby, belly breathing. Also, too, if you have a meditation practice, or you're considering it, or you just really need to calm yourself down, then belly breathing is the way to go. So your belly should be rising. If you're not sure, place your hand on your belly, below your waist. So we have lower abdominal muscles, and we have higher abdominal muscles. And the higher ones are involved when we get to diaphragmatic breathing. But suffice to say, I will repeat myself quite often because these things are so important. And unless, as my oldest brother said, who's been very successful in life, if you don't tell somebody something 5 times, don't imagine that they actually heard it or remembered it. So with diaphragmatic breathing, and we'll start that right now, place one hand on your chest and place the other one around your waistline. So maybe one of your fingers is over your belly button and the other one's on your chest. So right now what we're going to do is focus on diaphragmatic breathing. So now you notice you're not so much belly breathing. That diaphragm is a large dome-shaped muscle. And when you breathe in, that muscle pulls down on your lungs to expand your lungs. And then as you exhale fully, you release all kinds of gases, including carbon dioxide. So notice somewhere between your chest and your belly, that is your diaphragm. And it is in the lower lobes of your lungs where the little tiny, they look like branches of grapes, they're called alveoli. This is where the exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide take place. If we don't breathe fully, well, we might get a little bit of oxygen in, but we're not releasing, when we exhale completely, all of that carbon dioxide out. So knowing that by breathing and using your diaphragm, and when we're standing, we'll notice that when we call it thoracodiaphragm, because your thoracic vertebrae in the back are going to expand. We're lying on them right now, so that kind of impedes that expansion. So just become aware of diaphragmatic breathing. And the deal is, the more we practice something, the more we have it at our fingertips to be ready to use when we're practicing yoga. And of course, throughout this course, I will be sharing with you other techniques for gaining control over your autonomic system. So if we feel sleepy or bored, it happens. There are breathing techniques to energize you. When you're feeling anxiety, panic attacks, things like that, we need to, first of all, resort to the breath, to use the breath to ground us, center us. And remember, the breath is the bridge between your body and mind. So whatever's going on in your mind could be creating the issue that is making you feel anxious. But also, too, the body can get tired. Maybe we haven't been observing good posture. Maybe we haven't hydrated enough, or maybe we just haven't eaten enough. But I can tell you for certain, from my own experience, that when we practice certain breathing exercises, you get more energy from breathing exercises than you do from food, because it's the prana, it's the energy that we're getting from our food, but we can go directly to our breath and get that same energy by breathing. Okay, so that's just a little bit on diaphragmatic breathing. Let's draw both knees up in towards the chest, one hand on each shin, and let's just do some gentle rocking on our backs, perhaps making small circles, whatever feels appropriate, pleasant, beneficial. And then extend your left leg straight down in front, keeping your right knee in towards your chest. You're going to place your left hand on the outside of that right knee and gently draw it across your body. You don't need to take it all the way to the floor. You're just going to take it to the point where you feel a certain stretch. And of course, as you know from the last session, when we hold a posture and try to relax the muscles, we start to release some of the tension and tightness in the connective tissue, also known as fascia. Different parts are called fascia, but let's just call it all connective tissue. Super strong, it encases absolutely everything. The reason, and around the hip joint, that's where the fascia is super thick to be protective, to be supportive. But, you know, like there's a description of helicopter parents, we can be overprotective. We need to, you know, let our kids roam a little bit. You give them roots, you give them wings. But in terms of yoga, we want to allow what the body has an intelligence to do. And of course, because the body's designed for movement, in yoga, we move the body in myriad ways that we wouldn't normally do in an average day. Inhaling, come back to the center. Draw that knee once again, interlocking your fingers around the kneecap, compressing the ascending colon. Your left leg is still straight on the mat. And then you're going to straighten the leg. You're probably not going to lock the knee. We'll be talking about locking the knee. So you can keep a gentle bend in your leg. Bring your hands as close to your ankle as you can. Again, interlock the fingers around the ankle. If you have a strap and you want to use that, that's fine. But keep a soft bend, and maybe you're going to have even a big bend because your hamstrings are tight. Be kind, be compassionate, be patient. That's how we eventually get to a more flexible, mobile place. Inhaling in place. Let's draw the leg towards the head and lift the head off the floor and bring it towards knee, towards nose. Whatever you can manage here is perfect for you. It's not about what anybody else can do. It's what feels good for you. And exhale and releasing. Fold the knee once more into the chest. Let's draw the left leg up. Extend the right leg down in front. Place your right hand on the outside of your left knee and take it across your body over to the other side. Now we want to warm up the shoulders as well, so perhaps extend your left arm out to the left side. You might notice a difference from one side to the other. It's normal. Most of us are not asymmetrical. Also, we have injuries from time to time. My little sciatic nerve issue is still, it's not the sciatic nerve now, it's something else in my hip. Not sure what it is, but I will find out. So, again, you're keeping that right hand on top of the outside of your left knee and just taking that twist to whatever point feels right for you. In yoga, we don't try to do or take the body 100% all the way. Like a fine violin, you don't need to make the strings so tight that they want to break or pull something out of its joint, socket, or I don't know what they call those things on a guitar, on a stringed instrument, but you know what I'm saying. And breathe into the area. Again, use the breath to create space, to develop awareness of where the tension, where the tightness is being held. As I've said many times, the hip is like the junk drawer. We store a lot of emotions, stuff that we haven't had time or don't know how to deal with. And you know what? You don't have to know what it is. Just know that by stretching this area and breathing into it, you're letting go. In fact, sometimes we can silently talk to our body and just say, let go. You're not serving me. Bye. And coming back to the center, draw that left knee in towards your chest. Bring your hands around your ankle or calf and then straighten the leg, whatever amount you can. You're going to keep a nice bend in the knee. We're not going to lock or hyperextend the knee. Inhaling in place. Exhale. Bring the leg towards your face and nose towards the knee as you lift the head off the mat. Breathing into your hamstrings. Because of the origin of the hamstrings on the sits bones, when they're tight, we find it hard to honor the lumbar region, that lower curve in the back. And lower your head and lower that leg all the way down slowly. And now bend your legs and bring your feet to the outer edges of your mat. Your shoulders can be out at the side, shoulder height. You know, another thing, when we bring our arms, and we'll notice this when we're standing up, when we bring our arms shoulder height, there's a tendency to restrict chest breathing, and chest is shallow breathing. And we see a lot of elderly people, they're only breathing into their chest. They're not getting the energy they could be. Inhaling in place with your knees bent, feet flat on the floor, not going anywhere. Exhale, lower both knees over to the left, over to the left. Doesn't matter if they touch the floor. Just feel that stretch in the upper bent leg on the IT band. So the IT band goes from your ilium, your hip bone, down to your tibia, which is one of your lower leg bones. So this brings more flexibility when this is a very connective tissue or fascia on the IT band. So holding it just a little bit more helps it to release, lengthen, to give us greater mobility in the hip as well as the knee joint. And then let's inhale slowly, return to center, breathing in. And exhale, breathing out as both knees go over to the other side. Your feet are stationary. Your feet remain on the outer edges of your mat. So this is called windshield wiping, but we're going nice and slow. Again, notice the tension, tightness, or perhaps lack of on the IT band on your left outer thigh. And because we favor one side over another, that's another reason why one side of the body may be slightly more resistant to the movement than the other side. Notice your diaphragm moving again because your belly is restricted, as is your chest. So a lot of postures in yoga lend themselves to breathing diaphragmatically to balance the polarities of our body and our minds. Inhale, slowly return to center. Exhale, both knees one more time over to the left. And if you can, pick up that left ankle and place it on top of your right outside knee. Now, if this feels like too much, you're going to take that left foot and you're going to put it right back down where it was, because this does intensify the stretch of your iliotibial, aka IT band. So your muscles are being stretched for sure, some of your quads, but you are trying to relax your muscles. If we don't relax the muscles, we don't allow the connective tissue to release. If the muscles are tense and they're working hard, then the connective tissue says, well, why bother? I don't need to do anything. This is kind of like forcing your connective tissue to begin to awaken, lengthen, and relax. Although it may not feel relaxing because of the stress we're releasing. And then lower that ankle back to the floor and very slowly return to the center. Inhaling in place. We're going to do the other side. Exhale, lower both knees over to the other side. And then again, if it feels okay, you're placing your right heel or ankle on top of the outside of your left knee to intensify the stretch of your IT band. Breathing into that area. Focus your breath. Inhale, coming back to the center. And I'm going to give you one of these cushions. Okay. Now I meant to get myself one. All right. What we're going to do is take the meditation cushion. You are going to bend your knees, bring them towards your chest. You're going to stay on your back. One more yin for the hips. Okay, so you're putting it between your thighs, taking the arms out to the side. Legs can be in that 90-degree sort of Pilates tabletop position. Pressing the lower back in towards the floor. So we remember neutral spine from a couple of last sessions where there's a little bit of a curvature under your lumbar. Let's eliminate that. Let's press the small of the back into the floor. Inhaling in place, cushion between thighs. Exhale, lower both knees over towards the left. And if this is bothersome to either of your shoulders, please adjust your arm position. Inhaling, slowly coming back to the center. We're working the core. Core is really important for posture, and posture affects pretty much everything. Inhaling in the center. Exhale, both knees over to the right. So this is stretching the oblique muscles. These are the muscles that wrap around your waist. They are part of your core. You can think of your core like a cylinder. This is also excellent for stretching your intercostal muscles. So these are the muscles in between the rib cage. And when we stretch this area, our lungs can expand, receive more oxygen, have more energy, but balanced and calm energy. So let's bring the knees one more time. Feel your core working. So go slow. If you go really fast, you miss that opportunity to work your core. You're pressing, keep your lower back, lumbar active, pressing into the floor. Inhale, in place. One more time. Bring both knees with the cushion between your thighs over to the other side. You might notice you're going just a little bit further. Still perhaps not on the floor, that's okay. Beautiful stretch for the side of the body. Again, intercostal muscles. Pretty much forcing you to diaphragmatically breathe. Inhaling slowly, return to the center so your core gets a chance to do some work. Exhaling in place in the center. Press the small of the back into the floor. Inhale and exhale. Last time. Over to the other side. Another full breath here. Full exhalation. Inhale, slowly return to center. And remove your cushion, place it off to the side, and let's just gently, once again, take hold of your shins just below your knees, little gentle rocking, maybe making circles, ironing out any wrinkles, bringing blood supply to this area. And then can you reach inside your legs? Now, if you can, you're reaching for the outer instep. If that's not accessible, maybe you can take your peace fingers and wrap them around your big toes. If that's not available, I mean, obviously if you have a strap, you can put that around the balls of your feet, or you take hold of your ankles. So either the outside of your insteps, your arms are inside your legs, or peace fingers around your big toe, and or grab your calves. Keep your knees really bent, and then try to bring your lower leg so your ankle is directly over your knees and your knees are just outside of your torso in happy baby pose. When we start out in the womb, we have no curves in our back, which mimics, of course, Balasana, child pose, which we're going to do in a few minutes. They become developed as we crawl and walk. And then somewhere, we start sitting in front of a computer and we forget all about our lumbar and our thoracic and our neck and everything. Although not as yoga students, we don't. We keep it in mind because the 1 hour on the mat needs to come off the mat and be integrated into our day-to-day living. All righty. Bring your hands underneath the backs of your thighs. If you're okay to rock up to a seated position, then do so. If not, roll over onto your side and use your top arm to press yourself up. And then come on over onto all fours. Cat-cow is quite simply one of the most beautiful, safe ways to bring your spine not only into an alignment, but bring extra blood supply into it. And the nerves that travel up and down your spine also too get energy, oxygen, and blood supply. So your hands are underneath your shoulders, your middle fingers pointing forward, and your fingers are spread wide apart. If you didn't get a cushion for your knee, you can always double your mat over to protect your knee if they're uncomfortable. I must have enough fat on my knees that I'm fine without it, but okay. On an exhale, round your spine, tuck your chin, drop your tail, and pull your bellies in. On an inhale, hollow out your lower back, draw your heart center forward to lengthen your spine as you reach up through the crown, rounding the neck. And exhale, round your spine, pull your bellies in, tuck your chin, really exaggerate this cat. And inhaling, tilting your tailbone up, hollow out your lower back, draw your heart center forward. So you're really moving your core, not just your spine. Exhale, rounding. Now on the next inhale, curl your toes under. Lift your tailbone, hollow out your lower back. And reaching and looking up towards your third eye. Eyes can be opened or closed. Flatten the tops of your feet in cat. Curl your toes under, coming into cow. Eyes rolling up, they can be open or closed towards the center of your forehead, your third eye, seat of intuition. And last time, exhaling all the air out, pull your bellies in. This strengthens your abdominal muscles. Feel them firing. Curl your toes under. Lift your tail. Hollow out your lower back. Draw your heart center forward. In yoga, we say we're as old as our spine, so we pay a lot of attention to the movement of the spine, so we stay supple and flexible. Now, take your right hand, reach it up. Exhale, take it under the other way. Just, we're not going to come down just yet. So you're reaching, you're threading the needle. That arm is coming behind the front arm. Inhale, let's sweep up. Exhale, reaching through. Inhale, reaching up. Again, we're stretching those intercostal muscles. We're twisting the spine. And now take the arm, thread the needle as far as you can. And if you're able, release the side of your head onto the floor. If you feel like you have too much weight on your head, then bring your hips back a bit so more of the weight is over the hips and the thighs. And then if it feels okay, tippy toe the fingers of the left arm out in front and just hang out here. So we're again warming up the shoulders, twisting the spine. Compression on the abdomen is always great for helping to move waste through the large intestine. And then if you straightened your left arm out in front, draw it back, press up. Right hand underneath the right shoulder. Take your left arm up. Exhale, thread it through. You don't have to go down too low just yet. Inhale, reach the other arm up. Same arm. Exhale, through. And one more time, sweep up. Exhale, thread that needle. Reaching as far as you can, lowering the side of your head. Maybe your shoulder might not be touching the mat. And then if it feels okay, tippy toe the fingers of the right arm straight out in front. Inhale, come on up. Now you're going to turn sideways on your mat and you're going to extend your right leg out to the side and you're on your left knee. And you get to look at somebody's butt maybe. What can I tell you? Or their sweet face. Okay, inhale, sweep the arms up. And then lower your right arm down onto your right leg, but reach that left arm up and over. So you're literally stretching sideways. Again, notice your diaphragmatic breathing. You can't really breathe into your chest, belly's not working, so it's a natural to breathe this way when we're practicing the physical aspect of yoga called hatha. Hatha, ha means sun, ta means moon. Inhale, stretch up, and now you're going to bring that left hand down onto the mat about 2 feet away from your knee, and you're going to reach your straight leg up off the ground and reach over with your right hand. Do what you can here. Obviously, strengthening muscles. A lot of your stability muscles are working when you're in a balanced position. Reach and stretch. Lift that leg, whatever amount you can. So you're lifting the straight leg if you can. And back down. And let's switch, other side. Now you know what you're doing. Inhale, sweep the arms up. You're bending towards the straight leg sideways. So just lower your left hand on the leg. Try not to crunch too much through the waist. Think about expanding more than crunching your waist. So that'd be your other leg. Yeah, you got it. So you're lifting your right, you're getting a little cramp in your hip joint, huh? So you're going to lift the other arm up and over if that's possible, Gil. Your right arm goes up and over. Have a look if that's possible. Okay, maybe you're remembering a past life as a centipede and just can't figure out which hand am I moving. All righty. Those things like to come up in the drain about this time of year. Oh, God. Okay, so lift that straight leg up, bring the other hand to the floor, reach up and over. Nice. Breathe. And you know what? If your body's telling you not to do this posture, you listen to your body. It's the boss. And releasing. And we're going to do one more, a high lunge, and then we're going to come into child's pose and come up to standing. So bring your right foot forward. Curl the toes under of your left foot. Now, for balance, and bring that foot a little bit closer because you're going to be pushing up with that foot. Now, you can always stay here too. You can stay in your low lunge. For balance postures, focus your gaze about 7 or 8, 9 feet in front of you. Lift your back knee. Whoa. Well, that's my sciatic side, so it took a little bit of a hit. You know, as I was saying, try to have your arms beside your ears. When you have sciatic nerve pain or any kind of nerve pain, nerves are what make your muscles twitch. So because of mine, you're fine just to stay on the floor, keep the knee on the floor. So I did lose a lot of strength in that leg. It's much better than, it's way better. But yeah, that's what that's about. Breathe. Now again, notice your breath. What's moving? Your diaphragm, and press into the heel of your back foot. That's your anchor in this posture. One more deep breath. And then bring your hands to the floor. Take your front leg back, and let's just walk the dog. So one leg bent, one leg straight. So you can feel the stretch in the back of your leg, your calf, your Achilles tendon, and change. Give your head a bit of a swing too, so you know you're not holding. Please don't hold your head up. Let your head hang off of your cervical neck vertebra. Give those vertebrae a break. Stretches out the vertebra of the neck, and when the vertebrae have some space and release from the gravitational force, those discs between your vertebrae have an opportunity to plump up. So you're just gently walking the dog. Feel the stretch on one side. Pressing your sits bones towards the back of your mat to lengthen your spine. So really notice when you press your sits bones towards the back, how long you can grow your spine. And then bring your knees down onto the floor. Let's bring the other leg forward. Whoops. Which leg was I on? I don't even remember. Okay, so, place your hand on your front thigh, lifting up, and press into the heel of your back foot, and then raise your arms up. That is an easier way to get into a high lunge. Press through the heel of your back foot. Notice your breath. Not chest, not belly, It'll be your upper belly, but it's your diaphragm. Your diaphragm's that dome-shaped muscle, comes right under the rib cage. Straighten your back leg, really press through that heel. That stretches your hip flexors. And once again, bring your hands to the floor. Let's do one more downward dog because we're not going to be doing any more in the class. And again, just pedal your feet maybe now to give your Achilles tendons a good stretch. So important, especially for people who play racket sports, but even, you could just sort of twist your ankle a little bit, stepping off a curb or maybe uneven ground. You want your tendons to be as stretched, well, optimally stretched, not overstretched, but stretched so that they can handle those changes. And then draw your knees back down onto the floor. Bring your knees as wide apart as possible. Flatten the tops of your feet. Lower your hips back towards your heels. If bending your knees this much does not feel good, you're going to be in puppy pose. But if bending your knees can be done, and I would encourage you, unless you have an injury or a restriction, to be able to bend your knees and then release your forehead towards the floor, either on the mat or creating a pillow with your forearms if you need added height. And now notice how your side and your back ribs are expanding when you breathe in child's pose. This is the way we were born. There were no curves in our spine. But now that we have developed the curves in our spine, we need to honor them because those very curves are what gives our spinal column shock absorption. They're designed that way. So your lumbar and your neck are concave, lordosis, whereas your sacrum and your thoracic area are convex or kyphosis. And then inhale, come up. Everyone's favorite, curl your toes under, sit back on your heels, give your feet a good stretch. Pretty soon they're going to be freed from our winter boots. We'll be wearing sandals or barefoot. Oh boy. Anyway, I know this doesn't feel great, but it's such a great stretch, especially if you have a tendency towards plantar fascia. We need to stretch that fascia. So we breathe, toes are curled under, and you smile. I'm not going to smile, eh, Martha? No, she's not going to. Okay. I know what it feels like, trust me. Okay, roll back onto the soles of your feet. Keep your knees soft here. Let your upper body just hang. And on an inhale, slowly roll up. Keep your chin tucked into your chest. And the last thing to come up will be your head. And if you need a sip of water at any time, please take one. So, 3 to 4 million years ago, animals on the coast of Africa decided they were going to stand up, probably because they were checking things out. That's why they typically stood up on their, legs. But you know what? They never locked their knees because they needed to move. They may have needed to pounce on somebody, whereas we don't really pounce on anybody anymore, do we? Maybe. But here's the thing about locking our knees. I've never even shared this in class before. When you lock your knees, you have an easier time standing. And we're going to prove this right now. So, if you're standing in a lineup or you're at an art exhibit or standing is the only option. You're at a concert or something and you have to stand. Well, then we lock our knees. Animals don't lock their knees. But when you lock your knees, your hips aren't working, your thighs aren't really working hard, neither are your hamstrings. Okay, so why don't you bend your knees now? And notice the difference in what your thighs and your hams are doing. They have to work. And you know what? If we had to stand like this for very long, we would be uncomfortable. You see people standing like this, they're not comfortable. You can't hang out like that. So thank goodness we can lock our knees. So there are times in yoga where we want to lock our knees, and one of them's coming right up, Tadasana. All right, so I like to say have your feet about a fist width apart and the outsides of your feet parallel to the outsides of your mat. So your feet are only a fist width apart. That's not a whole lot, maybe a big fist, maybe not your fist, but the outsides of your feet are parallel. So have a look down that your toes are going to be closer than your heels, typically, when we're standing this way. And then I do say, engage your thighs, that lifts up on your kneecaps. But you don't have to hyperextend the backs of your knees, but your knees are locked. They're locked in this position, because remember, if they're not locked, you're exhausted. Your muscles get tired. And then lift your sternum away from your pelvic floor. Lots of space, and lower your shoulders, like actually pull your armpits down. Let your chin float horizontal, parallel to the floor, and let the crown of your head float up. And your eyes just gazing forward and breathing. Now, if you lift your toes off the floor, check in with what is connecting and rooting down through the floor. Should be your big toe mount, your, bless you, baby toe mount, and the center front of your heel. So you really feel balanced. And then gravity-wise, and you might have to go home and, talk to somebody, but the hole in your ear should be right over the center of your shoulder. And your shoulder should be lined up with your hips, and your hips should be lined up with your knees, and your knees with your ankles. Or you stand in front of a mirror, maybe in the buff, and you check things out, how you're lining up. This is the perfect posture. You want your lumbar curve, you want this neck curve, you want your thoracic to bow out, as well as your sacrum. Inhale, sweep the arms up, interlock the fingers, and we won't release our middle finger, we'll just keep them interlocked. So you're pressing your knuckles up towards the ceiling. Axial extension, you can lay your toes down, but they're on a holiday. They're not doing anything right now. So once again, notice this forces your diaphragm to do the breathing. Balancing our polarities, our yin and our yang, our negative and our positive. We all have them. And then release and bring your arms just out to the side. Just hold them here, out to the side, relax your shoulders. So in diaphragmatic breathing, the other thing, I'm repeating myself, of course, is that the exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide is optimal. It calms your autonomic nervous system down. We have more control over our bodies than we realize, but yoga helps us really get in touch with how we can easily take care of our bodies. And release your arms. And we'll do half sun salutations just to really move things up. And if you want to watch one round, feel free to. So again, your feet might be a little bit wider than in Tadasana. You're going to inhale, sweep the arms up and overhead. Exhale, you're going to bend your knees and swan dive your torso onto your thighs, fingertips tented on the floor. On an inhale, lift your hips and let the crown of your head float down. Does not matter if you can straighten your legs or if you want to use your blocks and put them in front of you to add height, then maybe you will be straightening your legs, but try not to hyperextend. Hyperextend means you're pressing the backs of your legs back. There's nothing to be gained in hyperextending the knees. Exhale, bend your knees, drop your hips, shoulders back, long spine from tailbone right through the crown. Inhale, sweep the arms out to the side, reaching up. Exhale, float your arms down, taking up lots of space. Inhale, turn the palms out. Exhale, bring your belly, maybe your chest onto your thighs. Tense your fingers on the floor or use your blocks to add height to shine your tailbone up and let the crown of your head float down. So of course we're stretching the backs of the legs here, compressing the abdominal area, and it's an inversion. When your head is below your heart, you get more blood into the areas, all of your endocrine glands that are above the heart. Exhale, bend your knees. Shoulders back, lengthen your spine. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale, float the arms down. Again, inhale. Exhale. Bend your knees a lot, drop your hips, whatever amount you can, but try to come into that tuck position that we see skiers in. Inhale, lift your hips, crown of head floats down, stretch the backs of your thighs. In fact, give your head a little bit of a swing so you know you're not holding. Don't hold. It won't fall off. Exhale. Bend your knees, drop your hips, shoulders back. Inhale, sweep the arms out to the side, reaching up. Exhale, float the arms down, taking up lots of space. Okay, some of you may want to put your blocks at the front of your mat for a pyramid pose, Parsvottanasana. So we are going to start with warrior one. Coming up to the front of your mats, take your right foot back, and so you can orientate your body towards the front of your mat, you're going to need to separate your feet. So you're going to take your left foot over to the left side of your mat and your right foot about 60 degrees forward. So your right foot is exactly 90 degrees, and you want about 2 or 2.5 feet between the heel of your front foot and the toes of your back. And then bend your front knee. Don't let your torso go forward at this point. There's a plumb line going right down through the center. Have a look that you can see your big toe inside your knee so that you know you're not collapsing. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Again, your anchor will be your back leg. Your front knee is bent. Your back leg is straight. Okay, to come into pyramid pose, you are going to straighten your front leg and you're going to lift up and reach up. Stretch as you fold, come forward. This is where if you have your blocks in front, you may want to put it on the highest height, the medium height, or the lowest height. Or if you don't require it, you're tenting your fingers on the floor. And if you don't have any blocks, you might need to bend your back leg. But if you can, so your spine should be long, tabletop. Breathe into the hamstrings of that front leg. That's what's being stretched. The back leg is getting a mild stretch to the hip flexors. Breathing, draw your heart center forward. Try to lengthen your spine. Bend that front knee. Sweep the arms coming back into warrior one. So 2 blocks are good, and separating the blocks is good so you can keep your hands wide apart. So maybe you can get your setup. So you've got your 2 blocks, one on either side. Inhale, stretching up. Back leg is your anchor. Fingers are active, front knee is bent. Have a look quickly. Is that knee tracking over your middle? If not outside toes, that would be good. Inhale, straighten that front leg. Stretch up. If we reach and stretch first to begin with, we have a better opportunity of bringing our fingertips and hands closer to the floor. So if you need two blocks, please use them. One hand on either block. Having them in the center is okay, but you can always put your blocks on that highest position. Both legs are straight, if possible. Again, relax your head. Let your head just hang off your neck. Bend your knee. Inhale, sweep up. And lower your hands down. Let's do the other leg. My God, I just did a time check. Time flies when you're having fun. Okay, let's get to it. Holy cow. We started a few minutes late, but I know my sister has a game to get to. Okay, Mare, hang in. All right, bend that front knee. Inhale, sweeping up. I had no idea. I have not been looking at my phone. So my apologies to those of you who have a tight agenda today. All right, let's straighten the front leg. Might be easier on this side, might be harder, we don't know. But lift up out of your waist, stretch up, and then reach forward, hinging from your hips. Fingertips either on your blocks. Remember, you got three heights, or fingertips on the mat. And then relax your neck, letting your head hang off it. Breathe into those hamstrings. Remember, if it's too much tightness on the hams, give yourself a break and bring your hands onto a block or a firm cushion. Please don't do too much and don't do too little. And then bend your knees. Inhale, sweeping up. And we'll just do this one more time. So you're holding warrior one. Virabhadrasana 1. Vira comes from virile, strength. The anchor is your back leg. It's not your front leg. You're not putting too much pressure into the front. You're holding the heel down on the back. And then inhale, straighten your front leg, lift out of your waist, reach forward, really stretch, really reach. Fingertips either on a cushion, block, or on your mat. And giving your head a little bit of a shake in case you're not sure. Please don't hold it. Your neck works so hard all day. We don't even realize how hard it works until we have a pain or a lack of mobility in the neck, then we get it. Okay, fingertips are on the floor. One last position. Bring the back foot forward. Bring your feet close together. Bend your knees. Transfer your weight towards your heels. Make sure you can see your toes in front of your knees, coming into chair pose, horseman's pose. Nice, Kelly. Very nice. Now, posture like this releases tight glutes. Tight glutes can cause sciatica. There are lots of reasons for it, but tight glutes is one of them. Piriformis is another one. We did some stretching of that today. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway, tabletop your spine, lengthen it, and then bend your knees and come on down onto your bodies for Shavasana, flat out and relaxing. Flat out and relaxing. Cover your eyes if you have something, a pad. And then bring your heels together and let your feet splay out. Arms are beside the body. Palms facing up, and they're far enough away from your body that you can feel your shoulders relax. Separate the biting surfaces of the teeth, relax the jaw. Let your eyeballs sink into their socket. And let your bodies be soft and heavy. Feel good about your efforts, everybody, and thank you for working as hard as you did. Shavasana allows your body to integrate the benefits of what you have just done. Hence, it is one of the most important postures. Your body also is in perfect alignment when you're in Shavasana. Where our attention goes, energy follows. And something that we're not always thinking about before we do or say, and I can certainly relate to this, is intention. What is our intention? And I want to add a caveat to that. Good intentions sometimes pave the road to hell. In spite of our best intentions, in spite of our best plans, things can go awry, things become misinterpreted. And this is where we connect to our breath, to center, regroup, reset, to make amends, if need be, to keep our hearts open, and bring our intention back to the thing or the person we're doing or with. It's called being present. And it's a gift to ourselves or the person we're with when we're present, fully 100% present. Inhaling the life force long, full, and deep. And deep exhaling. You can exhale through your mouth if you like, breathing in through your nose. If you prefer, exhale through your mouth. Inhale, reach your arms over behind your heads, reach and stretch, point feet far, flex and point. Draw your arms up towards the sky. Exhale, slowly lower them down. Take your time to gently roll over onto your side, bend your knees to protect your lower back, and use your top arm to press yourself back up into a seated position. And if you wish, We'll close our practice by chanting together Om just once. Even if you want to do it silently, it's just as powerful. Inhaling together. Om. Apply your little Buddha smile. Go out and be present with this beautiful day. Namaste. Thanks, everybody. Any questions?